In this particular lesson, we will be discussing muscle tissue by Nick, Maria, Amanda, and Megan. Muscles are used to convert ATP energy into mechanical work. Muscles are also known as muscle fibers because of their elongated shape. Muscle cells are long and slender. They also have the ability to relax and contract. And through exercise such as weightlifting, muscle cells will enlarge, but the overall number of actual cells do not increase. There are 3 types of muscle tissue: smooth, skeletal, and cardiac. Cardiac muscle is only found in the heart. Smooth or visceral muscle is located in the walls of hollow organs, including the stomach, intestines, and bladder. Skeletal muscle is always attached to bone. Examples of skeletal muscles include the deltoid, biceps, and the rectus abdominis.
Smooth muscles get their name because they lack striations. It is small compared to the other muscle tissues. Smooth muscles are mostly located in walls of hollow internal organs, and they're also involuntary, which means they can't be consciously controlled and continue to perform their functions without thought. Smooth muscles also demonstrate great elasticity, which is important in organs like the intestines and the urinary bladder. Smooth muscles are made up of single spindle-shaped cells. Myosin and actin slide against each other to cause muscle contraction. Smooth muscles do not require neuron stimulation, but neurotransmitters can cause it to relax and contract. Smooth muscles are capable of slow, sustained contractions maintained with minimum energy usage. Smooth muscle contractions cause the push of food, waste material, urine, etc. in one direction in a tubular organ. The contractions occur spontaneously and increase their length up to 80%. 3 major substances can induce smooth muscle contraction. The first one is substances around the smooth muscle cells. An example is histamine causing the contraction of airways. A second example is hormones in the blood. Oxytocin contracts the uterus during childbirth. A third smooth muscle contraction is neurotransmitters. An example is adrenaline that stimulates smooth muscle contraction. Common smooth muscle diseases. Asthma is a reaction caused by histamine contracting the smooth muscles lining in the airways and by other allergens, causing wheezing, shortness of breath, chest tightness, and coughing. Treatments include corticosteroids to ease inflammation, bronchodilators to open airways, and antihistamines to block histamine receptors. Because smooth muscles are found in the digestive system, many of the stomach-related pains and diseases pertain to the problem of smooth muscles. An example can be abdominal migraine.
The next type of muscle tissue we'll be looking at is skeletal muscle tissue. This muscle tissue usually attaches to bones. It is larger than smooth muscle and attaches to bones through tendons. Examples of this muscle tissue include biceps, triceps, and quadriceps. Skeletal muscle is under voluntary control and can be used willingly. Striations in the skeletal muscle have alternating light and dark cross markings. Cells have multiple nuclei in muscle tissue. Skeletal muscles are important in the function of numerous body parts and processes. Details about skeletal muscles include their energy source, contractions, and difference in organelles. Creatine phosphate, glycogen, and cellular respiration fuel muscle contractions. These contractions are controlled by the nervous system. In comparison, smooth muscle and cardiac muscle do not need to be stimulated by the nervous system. Organelles of skeletal muscle cells include sarcolemma in place of the cell membrane, sarcoplasmic reticulum in place of the endoplasmic reticulum, sarcosomes in the place of mitochondria, and sarcoplasm in the place of cytoplasm. Tearing and repairing of muscle tissue caused by usage can build stronger skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscle size does not measure strength. Often the dense and toned muscles provide lean strength. Skeletal muscles make up about 35 to 40% of muscle mass. There are 2 main types of skeletal muscles that differ in many ways. The first type, also known as type 1, slow twitch, or red muscle, has the ability to contract over long periods of time. Runners and endurance athletes use this type of muscle a lot. Type 1 muscle fibers are also loaded with mitochondria to supply energy for long periods of time. They are resistant to fatigue and use fatty acids as a major source of energy. The second type of skeletal muscle, also known as type 2, fast twitch, or white muscle, provides spontaneous power but tires quickly. This type of muscle is used by weightlifters, shot putters, and other athletes. Type 2 muscle fibers have less mitochondria than type 1 because they only require short bursts of energy. These muscles tire easily and suffer the most from lactic acid. Type 2 fibers are also responsible for fast movements like that of the eyeball. A common skeletal muscle disease is tetanus. Tetanus is a bacteria that releases a toxin which blocks nerve signals to skeletal muscle around the body. It is fatal to skeletal muscle because skeletal muscle requires nerve stimulation. It can cause violent tearing of muscle and fractures in bones because of spasms. Treatment includes antibiotics to kill the bacteria, bed rest to ease spasms, and an antitoxin to reverse toxin effects. Another example of a disease that affects skeletal muscle is muscular dystrophy. MD is a genetic disorder characterized by the weakness and ineffectiveness of muscle tissue. Symptoms include difficulty in swallowing, mental retardation, problems in walking, and other muscular problems. Loss of muscle tone is a prime indicator for the presence of MD. While MD is not treatable, doctors aim to treat the symptoms of the disease.
Cardiac muscle, only located in the heart, allows the synchronization of the heartbeat. Intercalated disc is a specialization intercellular junction characteristic of cardiac muscle cells. It is striated like skeletal muscle, yet involuntary like smooth muscle. Cardiac muscle tissue is branched. The branches of the cardiac muscle interlock with adjacent fibers, which make strong contraction possible and safe. It does not rely on the nervous system like other muscle tissue. Fibers contract in the synchronization fashion through junctions to promote successful blood flow. Cardiac muscle needs the most ATP to function. Fibers are alternating light and dark bands during the striation motion. The first two arrows above show the discs that connect the cardiac muscle. The next two are the striations in the muscle, and the purple blob is the energy that is used by the muscle. Cardiac muscle can remain contracted for a long period of time. The reason is because of the calcium that is located outside the cells. Through an exchange of ions that occur over a long period of time, the calcium is stored inside the cell. A common cardiac muscle disease is fibrillation. It is caused by interference of the muscle contraction waves in the heart by many reasons. It can be caused by the heart beating irregularly, which limits blood circulation. It can become fatal. Treatment is a defibrillator to restore cardiac rhythm, or a pacemaker to maintain the pace of the heart through shocks. Another form of disease is cardiomyopathy, which is a range of heart muscle diseases. Possible conditions that can occur are the damage of structure or functions of the heart, mainly the chamber ventricles. This leads to the weakening of the heart and leads to heart failure. It can be caused by heavy alcohol consumption, hereditary, or pregnancy. The cures consist of pacemakers, implanted defibrillators, and in the most extreme cases, heart transplant.